If I've spent decades saving, how do I actually create a paycheck for myself in retirement?
This is kind of one of those where the rubber meets the road questions that people really do get confused about. Yeah. And what I would say is, first of all, structuring your assets and your investments in a way that makes sense. And again, we have that proprietary method, the fiscal house that we use that I think makes perfect sense to people and really puts it in a perspective. But once you get the assets allocated and situated the way that you need to enter into retirement, what you want to do is it's very simple. It comes down to money management. What you want to do is you're going to have income, whether that's, let's just say it's just Social Security and you're getting $2,000 a month Social Security. So that's going to replace the first $2,000 of your working income. So you've got that taken care of right off the bat. But let's say you were bringing home $6,000 a month working income, and you'd really like to keep that income at that level. So you're like, okay, I'm only getting $2,000 Social Security. Where's the other $4,000 a month come from? Well, what we do for clients is we will, keep that money in whatever investment, whatever asset that they're pulling that income off of it. Let's say it's an IRA. So let's say we're spending that IRA money to replace that $4,000 a month. What we're going to do is set up automatic deposit from your IRA directly into your bank account every single month, just like a paycheck. And we are going to go ahead and take taxes out of that. We're going to go ahead at whatever your tax rate is and whatever we feel like your effective tax rate is. We're going to go ahead and pull those taxes out before we deposit that into your bank account every month. And we're going to go ahead and send that money to the IRS every single month. And at the end of the year, we're going to issue you a 1099, not a W-2 like you get from your employer, but it's a 1099, very similar, showing the distributions that you took and how much taxes we've already paid to the IRS for that, so that you don't get hit with some crazy tax bill at the end of the year. We've already prepaid most, if not all, of those taxes. If we overpaid, you'll get a little money back. If we underpaid, you might owe just a little bit. But we try to nail that down pretty close to what we think it's going to be, and I think we're pretty good at that. But really, it comes down to that. So we're going to have a withdrawal order on your investment. So let's say we start with the IRA. We plan on spending that down to zero. And then the next thing we're going to do is, once that money's gone, hopefully we've had other accounts that we've been growing that entire time. Once that account's gone, we're going to switch it over to another account, your brokerage account or whatever account that might be. And we're going to start pulling that money and putting it in your bank account every month and taking out the appropriate. We will make sure that paycheck never stops. And the goal is to make sure that paycheck never stops for the rest of your life. And in addition to that, if you need money and let's say all of a sudden you need a new roof, all of a sudden the HVAC unit goes out and you need to access chunks of money to cover those types of things, trips that you want to take, we will have that addressed separately. We will have that in accounts where we can go grab that money and do the same thing. If we need to pay taxes on it, we pay taxes then, and we get that money to you for your trips or your HVAC or your roof. But typically, that's where the rubber meets the road, and a lot of people get confused, and a lot of people make mistakes with this because they spend the money in the wrong order. We call that withdrawal order. They spend down all their bank account money first before they tap into the IRAs or whatever the case may be. And when we look at it, we can tell you that is not tax efficient. That is not the way that you want to do things. And we can give you real guidance on that. But yeah, that's how we do it.
Okay, thank you, Stewart. So this kind of leads right into the next question. What about longevity risk? Running out of money before you run out of time?
That's a great one. That's very important these days. We like to say people are living longer and having longer retirements right now. I mean, we're seeing a lot of 30-year retirements. An interesting stat here is that a healthy 65-year-old couple has a 50% chance that one of them lives to 90. And that kind of blew me away, but it's true. I mean, one of the two. And, that could be a 30-year retirement right there, right? So there's a couple of steps we like to take to kind of prevent against longevity risk. First, we always talk about sequence of returns, right? It's so critical for the first few years of retirement, not to take major hits. And again, we come back to that proprietary fiscal house where we've got a certain amount of your money protected, especially in the beginning, to live off of. Because the worst thing that can happen is what happened to people in 2007. They're getting ready to retire. They built up a good, solid pre-tax 401k, whatever it is, getting ready to retire. And just that next year, the first year, they lose 40% of their money. That can really hurt the longevity of the portfolio, right? Because you've got 40% less money to grow, to take income from, versus if we have a good bit of that protected and we do have a bad year in the first couple of years, we're not going down so much because it takes almost double. If you go down, it takes almost double that to get back up to where you were. So it's very important to protect yourself against, losing a lot very early on. And then, also just understanding the impact of understand the impact of the overall portfolio with different market conditions, right? Saying, okay, if I've got some protected, how can I make sure to have some that can grow? The other mistake we see is people being too conservative in retirement. If we're going to have a 30-year retirement, we have to have some access to growth. You can't step into retirement and put everything in CDs, right? Most people can't. You need to have some access to the higher upside tech play. You need to have access to higher upside stocks. And we talked about it last week. The market's done very well the last few years. And if you have all your money sitting in the bank and you're just trying to live off that because you're trying to be safe, you're not going to have any chance to really get those gains. So it's very important to have a well-balanced house, as we always talk about. And I think that's the biggest key for longevity, is having some access to safety and some access to high upside growth.
Yeah, definitely. And the other benefit of that is being able to take money from the safe, the safe foundation piece in bad markets, and in up markets you can take money from the roof and kind of have that take profits off the table, so to speak, and you're living off profits in those years. What it really comes down to is having a plan, and the importance of strategic retirement income planning is just vital in these types of situations to ensure you don't run out of money. And that is something that we do every single day for people, is give them the confidence of knowing I can't happen, and here's how much I can spend comfortably and know that that's never going to happen to me. And one of the huge joys and thrills I get out of this business is giving people a real plan to make sure they can sleep at night and understand that won't happen with them.
Okay. Well, thank you. I think this has been an incredible show. I appreciate you guys answering all these wonderful questions. I need to go update my own retirement plan after this. But before we wrap, where can people find you and learn more about ClearPath Retirement?
Yeah, so come see us at clearpathretirement.com. You can find us on YouTube on just do a search for ClearPath Retirement Planning. If you want to give us a call, it's 864-775-5033. We'd love to hear from you. We hope you enjoy these videos, and we hope you're learning a lot from them. And we just appreciate you joining us today. And we thank you to our host, Kath. And until next week, everybody have a happy retirement.